Japan's parliament passes a budget with record defense spending, 6.8 trillion yen, or about $51.8 billion. In 5 years, the country's defense budget will be the third largest in the world after the United States and China. 10 years ago, Japan's national security strategy positioned Russia as a partner with whom to develop mutually beneficial relations in order to ensure stability in the region. Now the new version of the document treats Russia as a factor of concern. So feel the difference. But it would be unfair to write it all off on the war in Ukraine, even though Moscow's actions, which Tokyo viewed as a violation of international order from the very first day, only accelerated the creeping remilitarization of Japan, which has been going on in one form or another for over 30 years. For a long time, Japan believed that in the U.S. Japanese alliance, which plays an important role in shaping the security agenda in the Asia-Pacific region, Tokyo was the shield and the United States the spear. But the country's economic power inevitably requires an increase in its political military potential, so the Japanese ruling elites now believe that Japan should return to the ranks of the great powers not only in economic size, but also in military might. Shinzo Abe's second term as prime minister from 2012 to 2020 has given powerful impetus to this process. Although he failed to revise Japan's constitution to militarize it and expand the capabilities of Japan's self-defense forces in the international arena, he has made great strides along the way. The current national defense strategy calls for increasing Japan's military budget from the current 1.24% of GDP to NATO standards, that is, 2%. In addition, it says that Tokyo reserves the right to launch counterattacks on enemy territory if its own borders are threatened. And in 2021, current Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, a staunch follower of Abe's policy in the military sphere, said that Japan may in future resort to a strategy of preventive strikes against opponents' military bases. Japanese political rhetoric has turned 180 degrees away from the ostensible peacemaking, completely rejecting the status imposed after the defeat in World War I. The Japanese Navy, still bashfully referred to as the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, today ranks 4th in the world and stands a good chance of displacing the Russian Navy, which is inferior to the Japanese in a number of important aspects, from 3rd place in the foreseeable future. Moreover, if we count forces in the Pacific Ocean, Tokyo has had a significant maritime advantage over Russia for many years. Japan is building its own submarines, which are considered the quietest in the world. Missile defense is provided by 4 destroyers that carry American Aegis systems. Japan built 2 helicopter carriers, and then converted them, in effect, into light aircraft carriers to be armed with American F-35B fighters, and so on. That is, it is no longer a self-defense fleet, but a fleet that can also carry out serious offensive missions if necessary. The same applies to the self-defense ground forces, which are perfectly equipped with the latest weapons, most of which are manufactured in Japan itself. And Shinzo Abe succeeded in pushing through a law in parliament stating that, contrary to what used to be the case, these ground forces can be used in overseas operations. Both independently and as part of a multinational force, the same quad that unites the US, India, Australia and Japan. And in the near future, these self-defense forces will be armed with American Tomahawk cruise missiles, for the purchase of which about $1.6 billion is allocated in the Japanese budget. And hypersonic, Type 12 inches missiles, which after modernization will be able to hit targets at a distance of about 1,000 kilometers, that is, leaving Japan out of range for a retaliatory strike. The reasoning in Tokyo today is as follows. Look at how the regime in Russia behaves. There is no guarantee that another regime in China will not behave the same way and attack the disputed Senkaku archipelago in the East China Sea, which is under our control. So our shield needs to be replaced with a spear, and as quickly as possible. Which is what Tokyo is doing at a record pace for politics. A spear is a thing of the past. Whoever has one is constantly tempted to try it out. This is in the spirit of the samurai, which is now being actively revived within Japan's ruling elite to the applause of the Keiretsu, the huge financial conglomerates that own the true masters of Japan's military-industrial complex.